All right, get yourselves comfortable. Good. All right. Bring your attention here into this moment. It's like presence is always here, and we drift from it. So it's like coming back now, it's almost like laying over one part of us back into the bigger part of us. The mind being the smaller part, going here, going there. When we let it go, you don't even have to bring the mind anywhere. You just let it go, since we're not the mind. And once we let it go, here we are. And in this place, we are here together. This is it. This is where we exist, in the one, as the one. So we come together to help each other be here now more easily. Nothing to do. Nothing to solve. Just notice that. The mind is so busy finding things to do, finding problems to solve, thinking about the problem. When you let it go, what's left? You let it go. Let things be as they are. It's really so simple. Simplicity does not compute to the mind. It can't grab onto simplicity. And by its nature, it really needs to grab onto things so that it could feel secure. So if it doesn't have anything to grab on, it will create things to grab onto. And yet, since we're not the mind, we don't have to go along for that ride. You can watch it. You can see it do its thing. It can do what it wants. And here we are. Just being. Feel life moving through us. Feel life moving through you as you. It's never not done this. We've blocked it. We've distracted ourselves from it. We've gotten deep into rabbit holes to make it appear as if this is not really happening. We forget it. And yet here it is. And it's not your life. It's not my life. It's not their life. There's just life. The infinity of it. the brilliance of it, the power of it, the love that it is. One of the statements that is used a lot, and then one day the absurdity of it hit me. It is having to make a living. Just think about that for a moment. Does life have to make a living? It's an absurd idea. It's something we've constructed, along with a whole complex belief system around it, and a whole complex mechanism called an economy around it. And it makes us forget the simple truth. There is no earning a life. We've been granted this. We've been gifted this. And it's not some inert thing. It is infinite power as us, infinite love as us, infinite wholeness, nothing missing whatsoever. There's nothing missing in life. And yet we experience something missing. Is it that us that experiences that? Or is there something else in our field, in our awareness, in our psyche, that is putting out a signal that says something's missing, something's missing, something's missing? What is that? Is it the truth? Not asking in order to come up with an answer, just ask. What is this? Where is this coming from? How much do I believe this? What's the impact of believing this? Am I stuck with a belief? Is there any belief that I'm stuck with? Do I believe that I'm stuck with beliefs? We're going to explore some of this tonight. For now, feel life, the infinity of life flowing through as us, animating, living here and now. And if you would like, I invite you to invite life to fully live through you as you. To gently remove any blocks that have been in the way. Blocks that we've inherited, blocks that we've created through unconscious living, blocks that we don't even know we're holding on to. But the life that we are knows how to clear it all. So, there's an invitation here. Come on in. Clear anything that's not true out of my field. I'm willing to give it up. All it takes is a little willingness. You may not even think you know how to do this. So it's easy. It's as simple as, I'm willing to let this come through and run the show. And if there's resistance to that, that's okay. Notice that. You don't have to give it up until you're ready. There's really no right and no wrong here. Everything's okay, in spite of what the mind may say. So we sit together in this amplified field. It's amplified by virtue of us coming together and sitting together. Pretty amazing. The coherency, the intense power of this infinite field. Just imagine it here, feel it, and bring into this field anything that you would like to bring in for healing, any purpose of your life, anything going on in your life, any body that you're connected to, any situation, personal, family, world situation. Just imagine it being held inside this infinite field. Infinite intelligence, infinite compassion, infinite awareness. Awareness is corrective, infinite intelligence, infinite resources that can come to us as needed. So bring it all in, not from a place of lack, from a place of this is done, because this is the infinite field. It's all here, it's whole and complete. Therefore, by definition, there could be nothing lacking. So, we acknowledge that this is the case. We let the wholeness inform our own personal experience, which is to say, educate it. Let it steep in the truth of this. Because you don't push away the false, you don't undo the false, you simply sit in the truth, and it knows what to do. And so we do this in gratitude and allow it to run the show tonight. If you so feel called, let it run the show of your life forever. I highly recommend it. There's Leah. Leah's in online. So, okay, here we go. What is this? What is this?
Dinero.
What is it? English, please.
Bucks.
Bucks. Yeah. What? Fake money. Right. What is this?
Fake money.
Went too fast.
What is this?
An effigy.
It's a Ben Franklin.
Ben Frank.
No, it's a piece of paper. That's what it actually is. Notice what we all just did with that. Layers of projection went right into this thing. What's the difference between this and this?
Cheaper money.
One will be accepted at a store.
One will be accepted at a store and one will not. Why?
We've agreed upon the value.
Because we've agreed.
All in trust.
This is a mass hallucination. A very powerful one. I want to deconstruct some of this tonight. Because it's not simply that we're agreeing upon this that has value. This is the most emotionally charged object on the planet. Let me say that again. This is the most emotionally charged object on the planet. And so we project everything into this. Now, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, and I don't think it'll offend anybody here, but you go around and you say this to many people, a lot of people are going to get offended. It's this: if you go by how much time, effort, psychic energy somebody puts into money, this is their God.
Mm-hmm.
But what is this?
You can't eat it.
It's a piece of paper. What is the source? What is the source? What's the source of money?
The mint.
Rules.
What is money? What is money? What is money? It's an interesting question. We just take this stuff for granted. We've been raised, we've been born into this system. Well, for one thing, the economy is a con game. Now, I don't mean con as in malicious, but what is con short for? Confidence. The economy is a confidence game. Why does the market go up and down? Why? What makes
our buying and selling?
And buying and selling is a function of confidence
In the market.
in the system.
Globally.
Globally, right. Now, what that is it's belief system on top of belief system on top of belief system. Where is, and for starters, I don't want to, I'm going to ask this question again, and I don't want you to give me an answer that you think should be the answer, or what you think the enlightened answer is. We'll circle back to that. What I want to ask is, I want you to tell me just like what you, in your body, what your visceral response or reaction to this question is. Where's the source of money in your life? What is the source?
Where?
What's the source of money in your life?
What's the source?
Work. That's the one. That's what everybody thinks.
The source could be your education. To be able to do that.
Which enables you to work,
That's
which
the
gives you
source.
money. Yeah, what else?
Power?
What was that, Kim?
Power?
Power is the source of money?
Oh, not the source.
Money is a form of power. We'll come back to that in a minute because we're starting to edge closer to where we're going to ultimately go with this. What were you going to say, Ray?
Divinity.
Divinity. That's what you feel. Okay. As long as that's what you feel, then that's okay, good. Yeah. I'm going to play something tonight, a 9-minute piece, and I'll come back and explain a couple of things about it that I want to explain. But this is a form of energy. There's another word for money. Currency. Current. Flow. Electricity is only electricity when it's flowing. If it's jammed up, it don't flow. It's not electricity. Current, currency, money, right here, this, sitting here static right now, is not doing anything. It's got potential, right? Because we agree upon this and it's out in the world. But here's where the block comes. It comes from several places. That's worth pointing out. Because when you start to see it as such, as we hopefully, if I sequence this the right way, I'll wind you back to the true source, which Ray pointed to. You want Ray or Devendra? What do you prefer to be called?
Either one.
Yeah, okay. DV. This piece that we're going to listen to from Sri Aurobindo, in it he says, money is a circulating force of Shakti in material form. Shakti is the divine energy. It's the divine, feminine, divine energy. That's what goes up your spine when Kundalini awakens, or if you feel any of that kind of thing that goes on in your body. It's what animates everything. It's a material form of Shakti. If that's the case, now, what's the source of money?
Source of Shakti.
Yeah, now, objects are people too. Let me point that out. What I mean by that is, I've noticed that. Wendy would always notice, like, there's something in the house, one of the pieces of technology is going a little wacky, and she'd tell me about it, and I would come over to it, and it would start behaving itself. And I would say, it's because objects are people too, meaning nothing is inert. Nothing is inert. Everything has consciousness behind it. And we are in relationship to every object. And so the way you treat objects will reflect back at you from the objects. What that suggests is that it's your own consciousness being projected outwards into the material plane that is affecting the material plane. Now, we know this from real quantum physics, not New Age quantum stuff. Real quantum. There's no such thing as a pure observer. The interactivity with the physical plane changes the nature of the physical plane. Now, let's bring it back to money. Money is an object. If I put the source of money outside of myself in any way, I have displaced, I have projected, I have given over the power of the source of money, which is my own divinity flowing through me. But I put it into something like this. I put it into a job. I put it into education so I can get a job. I put into things out there. Then what happens is, by my own design, if my belief system says the source of money is in the job, I have displaced all the divine power out there somewhere and put it out of my control. What does that then bring into my energy field? If I am placing responsibility for something that can affect me outside of me, that's out of my control, what does that bring back into my energy field?
Reliance. External reliance.
Fear.
Scarcity.
Because of external reliance, because of scarcity. Exactly right. Now, the scarcity piece, why? Because we enter into, once you plug into the system, when I say plug into the system, I don't mean interacting with the system. That's okay. I'm talking about plugging in, meaning unquestioningly accepting the belief system of the system. Now you are at the effect of that collective belief system. The economic system of this world, frankly, all systems of this world, but we're not going to go that broadly. The economic system of this world has been constructed from an egoic consciousness. An egoic consciousness which believes itself to be separate from the whole. Because it believes it's separate from the whole, it is the mechanism. In the opening meditation, I asked, what is it that keeps broadcasting a signal to us that says something's missing? That's what it is. It's the egoic level of consciousness that is cut off from the whole. Therefore, its own perception of reality is things are missing. The essential nature of things are missing. If we design an economic system based on that, it inherently has lack mentality built into it. And so we created a model where there's limitation, which increases the value of this thing called money. Crypto, right, which came about. The reason why the Bitcoin went from like really literally 20 cents to over 100,000 is because the design of crypto has limitation built in. There's a limited number of Bitcoins it will generate, and that's it. Well, we've created the same thing. There's a limited number of dollars that flows through the money system. It's called the M1, M2, M3 factors, and it's controlled by the Fed. And they try to control that throttling. It's a currency. It's literally a flow of energy so that they can keep a balance between inflation, the unemployment numbers. Fundamentally, that's what it's for. If they pump too much money into the system, it throws the system out of balance. So there's an inherent lack built into here. But there's something even bigger going on. Because the thing that the ego values even more than that is control. It places a higher value on control than anything else because that's how it believes it can keep itself safe. So the more money one has, the more control one has. That dynamic starts to create the economic systems that produces constriction so that you have to go through the hoops you have to go through to meet the needs of the system, so you become a servant of that system. This applies the more you unconsciously believe the system. The more you unconsciously, unquestionably accept the rules of the system, the more the system affects you, the more you are at the effect of the system, the more your karma is tied to this entire thing. What's the source of your prosperity and wealth? I'll tell you what it is for me.
Soul?
It's the source.
Source.
It's called source for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's the infinite power. It doesn't have any constrictions. It doesn't buy into this system. Now, before we go too far into la-la land, you do have to work with the system. However, we're not subject to the same level of constraints. The more you start to acknowledge on a moment-to-moment basis where the true source is. Money can come from all sorts of directions. Financial prosperity can come from all sorts of directions. You just have to open your mind. You keep acknowledging the source. So let's talk a bit about prayer and how people use prayer a lot of the times. Interestingly enough, prayer often comes from an egoic standpoint, which comes from the same lack mentality. It says, something's missing. Dear God, please fill in this thing that's missing. The truth frequency doesn't respond to that because it doesn't understand lack. It doesn't compute. So it doesn't have that relationship with us. Because at the deepest truth, source is whole and complete. We're made in this image. We're whole and complete. It's just that we forget because we're born into a conspiracy of this lack egoic mentality. And then we struggle and it gets reinforced all day long. And then we accept the belief systems of our parents, of their parents, of their parents, and the intergenerational wounding of all that comes down the line. And then if we don't question any of it, we are completely subject to it. The more awake somebody is, meaning consciously interactive with all parts of the being, of the psyche, of the reality, capital R, the less at the effect of the collective karma that person is. You take it to an extreme and you have all those folks hanging out on the altar. Every one of them transcended time and space and material everything. That's the extreme. Okay, we're not there yet. But the point being, we're moving in that direction to the degree that we wake up, to the degree that we welcome awakening, to the degree that we keep asking to be shown the vibrational truth of my existence. We become freer and freer and freer of this karmic conspiracy called the economy. Yes, you interact with it. So there is a lot of darkness happening in that space. Let's not kid ourselves. Darkness, just another term for fear, control, power, abusive power. Power that's not coming from, Jimi Hendrix said, right? When the power of love overtakes the love of power, then we'll know peace. But there's a love of power. There's a lust for power. Money is power. And so it gets used and abused in those ways. So, and that offends a lot of people for good reason, right? I mean, look at the harm it can cause. But is it money that's actually causing the harm? Or is it the way it's used? True or false? Money is the root of all evil. True or false?
False.
False.
First of all, is it even an accurate statement? That's the convention. If you don't look at the actual statement, that's what's getting tossed around. Money is the root of all evil. The actual statement is the love of money above all else is the root of all evil. The love of anything above love is the root of all evil. Why? Because it's the antithesis of truth. Love is the truth. So we get into these catch-22s and these double binds is the more psychological term, where I have money, but money's the root of all evil. Well, now I have a double bind. It's either I have to be poor so I could be spiritual, or I have to give up my spirituality so I could survive in this world and have enough money. But that's a total false equivalency across the board. But I'm just pointing out conventional belief systems that people hold around this. What cuts you free from the belief system? Examining the beliefs. It's like I love this topic because it's so rich. There's so much stuff to it. I probably will do a weekend workshop around this kind of thing where we get to examine belief systems and things because we inherit belief systems around money. So objects are people too. Money is people too. So an object, there's so many directions I can go in here. I'm just going to keep freewheeling. And an object, the Buddhists work this one out very nicely. Objects are empty. Physical reality is really empty. There's nothing there. And if you keep going more and more in at a molecular level and a subatomic level, you see it's just all empty space. That's what this thing we call physical solid reality is really not. But point being, these objects, think of it more like they're carriers of energy. It doesn't matter what the object is. Why do I pray over my food before I take it into my body? because food is an object, food is a container that picks up the energy of every being that handled that food on its way to my body. Think about that. It could be a little scary when you think about some people you know handling the food. So what do we do when we, again, the religions have they're saying grace, but what was the mystical truth about why you do that? Because when you pray over food, what you're doing is you are essentially realigning its internal contents, the vibrational energy of the food with the divine, and that changes the nature of it is when you take it into your body, you're changing the nature of how it affects your body. That's the whole thing behind what the Hindus call prasad. Take food, you give it to the guru blesses it, it is no longer the same food. It doesn't matter what the object is. Same thing with money. So when we interact with money, it's coming through our energy field. It's whether it's in our bank account or in our hands and our wallet, it's coming through, and whatever's in my, let's call it control, right? My sphere of influence, thank you. I have an impact on that. I change the nature of this when I consciously infuse the divinity that I am into this. So if I have to go pay PG&E at the end of the month, if I just see this as money going in, going out, and some part of me starts to feel that tightness, which everybody I know has experienced, that tightness is what? It's fear. It's fear. It says, I'm going to run out of money, and if you take it to its extreme, I will die. That's where this is all wired into. That's the egoic consciousness that's behind it all. But once you are awake and you can infuse divinity into this, because how does divinity come through into this plane? How does it come through? Love is what it is. But how does it get into this plane?
Awareness.
Who's the one who's aware? Us. We're the channels. We're the vehicles for divinity entering into this plane. So when money's coming through my sphere of influence, and I bless it, and I'm filling it up with light on its way to PG&E, it goes into the system. This is not woo-woo stuff. I have been working this stuff for 40-something years, and I got to tell you, it's powerful. Because then what's happening is it's no longer my money. I'm a steward of the money. It's coming through me to be able to go that way and that way and that way. And some of it is donations, and some of it is for paying for this for something or somebody, and some of it is for this to simply have my needs be met. That's okay. Some of it is to buy things that give me joy so I could bring more of this into the world. When you have that relationship with the money are people too. Guess what? It's going to want to hang around you a lot more. When I was doing classes like this in my 20s in New York, a lot of times a bunch of us would go out to dinner afterwards. And there was somebody in my class, and he was talking about how, like, I don't care about money. It's like, no, money doesn't mean anything to me. And he's taking it out of his pocket, and it's all crumpled up. He goes, see, I don't care about any of this. The guy was struggling like crazy. It's okay to love money, but not for its own sake. It's because this allows you to put more love into the world as it comes through your system. Change the relationship with it. This is not my money. That's a divisive mindset. I'm the steward of this. I've been given this. I am lent this by the divine. You know what? The same thing holds true for your body. This is on loan. It's going back at some point. So is this. So what is it? What am I in this body? I'm a steward of this. Right? You take care of the temple so that you can operate in the, this is the spacesuit. It's the same thing. It was like, I hate this body. It's the same thing. It's like, so people see abuse of the money out there, and then they project all their fear and their anger onto the money, onto billionaires, onto this and that. And you know what starts happening? You muck up your own energy field with that. That creates blocks in the flow. I was on the Long Island Railroad going to work one day in New York when I grew up in New York. Worked in Manhattan. I lived on Long Island, so I'd commute every day. And one day I was thinking, I was getting closer and closer. I didn't realize it, where I was actually going to end up moving out of New York. And I was just started thinking, like, what am I going to do next? Like, maybe I'll go move to, like, I was kind of, I was in industry. I was doing fine in there, but I was not crazy about it. And I was thinking, maybe I'll just go move to New Mexico and I'll become a healer. I don't know, I'll learn body work or something like, it's like, and then out of nowhere on the train, this strong, and it was a strong voice. It came right in and it said, who would you rather see in charge of $10 million? You or the president of Exxon? And I got what the message was. It's who would you rather see working with money? Conscious people or unconscious people? So it's a high purpose to bring that which you are into working with all of this. It is. And so anytime money goes through here, it's got to flow, it's got to circulate. I'm one of the nexes where it comes through and it moves outwards. Any stock that I hold, I'll fess up. I own a lot of Tesla stock. People go, what the hell? I really got a lot of shit from my sister-in-law over that one. But I understand the following. Never mind the mechanics of once a stock is public, buying and selling the stock really, it's like buying and selling a used book. It doesn't really affect the original publisher. But put that aside. The thing that I understand is every form of money that I hold within my consciousness, including all the stocks and the portfolios and everything, is an opportunity for me to infuse the divinity into it, so that as that circulates through the greater economy, it's putting light into the economy instead of fear. This is not woo-woo stuff. This is utilizing your power at the level it was designed to utilize it at. It's the infusion of that which you are at the divine level into the objects. Now, whether it's money or you're just walking down the street, infusing it, relating with the earth, infusing it into the car, into the... This is the way it works. I could say that because I've been doing this for 40-something years. It is beyond proven to me. Conscious interaction. So whenever I write a check, which we don't do so often anymore, but I wrote one today to my dentist, under my signature, every time I write a check, it's TYG. Thank you, God. Because I know where the source is. Anytime something is in there, and it's like I want to pull something from the totality into material manifestation within my sphere, it's not, dear God, please send me X. It's, thank you for this. Because it's already done in the truth, right? I want to align myself with the vibrational truth. The vibrational truth is there is no lack. Granted, I may experience it to the degree that I am identified with the ego, because the ego does experience itself as lacking. And there's the hook right there. To the degree that I'm identified as a separate self is the degree to which I will experience myself being cut off from the totality. But that's not the truth. And so it's a matter of realigning the truth, realigning with the truth, putting yourself in alignment with truth and letting it come through you, which it's the most natural thing in the world. There's like no effort involved. If there's any efforting, it's in taking a good look at the belief systems you carry, belief systems you've inherited from your parents about money, the belief systems we've inherited from the collective. And don't get angry with it all. Just see it for what it is. It's false. What is the truth for me? What is the most deep vibrational truth for me, and how do I allow it to express? These are the questions. Before we flip over to this thing, I want to just shut up and see if anybody has anything they want to ask or share or comment on. Howard? You just gave me the thumbs up. Thank you.
What are your thoughts about?
Speak louder so people can hear online.
So, kind of thinking about, in context of what you're saying, how do you relate to cultural poverty on a huge scale?
Yeah, the haves and the have-nots and the growing
Well,
distance between the two.
Not just the haves and the have-nots, but I guess that's part of it, but certain parts of the world are in extreme poverty. The
Yeah.
whole culture doesn't have resources.
Right.
And part of it is the systems aren't in place.
It's a distribution problem. It's not that there's not enough money. It's the same thing with food. It's not that there isn't enough food. It's a distribution problem, and a distribution problem is a political problem, and a political problem is a power problem, and a power problem is because everybody thinks they're a bunch of egos. It always comes back to the separation wound, no matter how you slice it. So, with that said, continue your question.
Well, that sort of addresses it, but I mean, whole societies, not just money per se, but their infrastructure,
Everything.
their way of life.
Yeah, everything.
They don't have food, electricity, water,
Right.
sanitation, basic things.
Right.
Large populations of the world
Yeah.
are living in poverty like that.
Right. Collectively, we have the resources, we have the means, we have the know-how, we have the technology to solve all that. What we don't have is the appropriate level of consciousness operating.
The world is $300 trillion. The entire world.
Is it?
300 trillion.
Where'd you come up with that number?
That is from a YouTube skit. You can check it out. I mean, we'll see if it's true.
Because
or not.
YouTube always tells us the
Right,
truth.
exactly. But, you know,
Akashic records.
huh? Exactly, the Akashic Records.
Akashic Records,
what I
yeah,
got
that's
it.
funny.
But if that's true,
And what is debt?
right.
It's a fictional character. It's a construct.
Debt or death?
Debt.
Oh, debt,
D-E-B-T.
okay. Just wanna be
Maybe
sure.
death is too, I'm not sure yet. But D-E-B-T
Yeah.
is construct.
Well,
This
and-
country's in debt, and what do? We put ourselves more into debt.
And if we have everything that we need in the world, it wouldn't be if it were in that much debt. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind
Or
of
we declare bankruptcy and dissolve
I
it.
think it's or a neutron bomb comes across and blows out all the databases, and then what? Because everything is just a bunch of ones and zeros.
Right.
I believe it's Gandhi who said we have enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. Greed is a separation wound. Greed is a sickness. If you have $1 billion and you need another penny, you're sick. No way to slice it. No other way to slice it. Especially if you are like actively going to keep building, keep hoarding. If it just comes to you, which does happen,
Give it away.
well, you do what you do with it, right? I mean, there are people like I know people who got into a divorce, got $1 billion in the divorce, and they're giving it away. And so it can go any way it goes. But back to your main question, It all comes down to the level of consciousness on the planet. And our role is to help increase that through our interaction with the systems. You can't throw the system away. You interact with it. That changes it. It doesn't take 8 billion people to wake up. It takes a much smaller fraction. And it's happening. It's just that it's part of why we have these kind of discussions. Anyone else?
Well, there's also the idea that
Talk louder.
we choose where we're born, how we're born,
Yeah.
into what system we are born.
Yep.
And there clearly is a huge fraction of humanity that gets themselves born into these places where distribution is a major problem.
Yeah.
And they suffer.
Yeah.
They learn suffering.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that opens up a much, much bigger question than the scope of what we're going to cover tonight.
Yeah.
Because then you really have to go into the idea that there are no errors in the system. And there are lessons.
Isn't it?
Go ahead.
Is that the karma that we pick before we come into our
Well,
current?
you could couch it that way, that the karmic
The
energy.
lessons we
field-
need to learn.
Yeah, that we get drawn into whatever circumstances
born poor or-
lead to whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down that tonight so much because it's a big subject. Let me pull this up. What I want to say about this 9-minute piece I'm going to call, first of all, it's a Jayasara piece. You've heard her voice. She's incredible. She reads from other masters and this and that. And so this is a piece from Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo is in my heart because he's the founding inspiration for one of my alma maters, California Institute of Integral Studies. And so this is part of an 1.5-hour piece. I'm only going to give you 9 minutes, but it's the part of talking about money and reclaiming it as a divine force. So this is going to reinforce everything I've been talking about so far. And there's a term that he uses in it that I want to clarify because otherwise it's not going to make sense. He calls it an asura. It's a Sanskrit Hindu word, or an asuric influence, ASURIC. And it says the asuric influence on money is simply what happens when a divine force is operated from egoic self-reference rather than from surrender to source, when ownership replaces trusteeship. So what it's saying is there's a collective fear and a collective separation wound that is the driver of greed. And that's what he's calling the asuric influence, or an asuric force on the system. Okay, I just want to put that out as a definition. Let me put this on now. Let's see here. I think you guys should be able to hear this, but what I'm going to do is share the screen to guarantee that you do that. Okay, let's see.
Money is the visible sign of a universal force.
Hang on, I'm going to check the speed here. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can see it up there.
Money is the visible sign of a universal force. And this force in its manifestation on earth works on the vital and physical planes and is indispensable to the fullness of the outer life. In its origin and its true action, it belongs to the divine. But like other powers of the divine, it is delegated here, and in the ignorance of the lower nature, can be usurped for the uses of the ego, or held by asuric influences and perverted to their purpose. This is indeed one of the three forces: power, wealth, sex, that have the strongest attraction for the human ego and the asura, and are most generally misheld and misused by those who retain them. The seekers or keepers of wealth are more often possessed rather than its possessors. Few escape entirely a certain distorting influence stamped on it by its long seizure and perversion by the asura. For this reason, most spiritual disciplines insist on a complete self-control, detachment and renunciation of all bondage to wealth and of all personal and egoistic desire for its possession. Some even put a ban on money and riches and proclaim poverty and bareness of life as the only spiritual condition. But this is an error. It leaves the power in the hands of the hostile forces. To reconquer it for the divine to whom it belongs and use it divinely for the divine life is a supramental way for the practitioner. You must neither turn with an ascetic shrinking from the money power, the means it gives and the objects it brings, nor cherish a greedy attachment to them, or a spirit of enslaving self-indulgence in their gratifications. Regard wealth simply as a power to be won back for the mother and placed at her service. All wealth belongs to the divine, and those who hold it are trustees, not possessors. It is with them today. Tomorrow it may be elsewhere. All depends on the way they discharge their trust while it is with them. In what spirit? With what consciousness in their use of it? To what purpose? In your personal use of money, look on all you have or get or bring as the mother's. Make no demand, but accept what you receive from her and use it for the purposes for which it is given to you. Be entirely selfless, entirely scrupulous, exact, careful in detail, a good trustee. Always consider that it is her possessions and not your own that you are handling. On the other hand, what you receive for her, lay religiously before her. Turn nothing to your own or anybody else's purpose. Do not look up to men because of their riches, or allow yourself to be impressed by the show, the power, or the influence. When you ask for the mother, you must feel that it is she who is demanding through you a very little of what belongs to her, and the one from whom you ask will be judged by their response. If you were free from the money taint, but without any ascetic withdrawal, you will have a greater power to command the money force for the divine work. Equality of mind, absence of demand, and the full dedication of all you possess and receive, and all your power of acquisition to the divine Shakti and her work, are the signs of this freedom. Any perturbation of mind with regard to money and its use, any claim, any grudging, is a sure index of some imperfection or bondage. The ideal practitioner in this kind is one who, if required to live poorly, can so live, and no sense of want will affect them or interfere with the full interplay of the divine consciousness. And if they are required to live richly, can so live, and never for a moment fall into desire or attachment to their wealth, or to the things that they use, or servitude to self-indulgence, or a weak bondage to the habits that the possession of riches create. The divine will is all for them, and the divine Ananda. In the supramental creation, the money force has to be restored to the divine power and used for a true and beautiful and harmonious equipment and ordering of a new, divinized vital and physical existence, in whatever way the Divine Mother herself decides in her creative vision. But first it must be conquered back for her, and those will be strongest for the conquest who are in this part of their nature strong and large, and free from ego, and surrendered without any claim or withholding or hesitation. Pure and powerful channels for the supreme power.
Thoughts, responses?
Lovely clarity.
I know. Great. Yeah.
What if I'm one of those people that's destined for a poor life?
Well, what's the destined business mean? I mean, what if? Okay, what if? First of all, where's that question coming from?
Fear, and it's sort of like generally a floating question. I think I sometimes hold it in me, but it's fear of not getting what I need.
Move, baby.
Kind of more so not getting what I want.
So the want and the need is an interesting, I don't want to say polarity, but it's an interesting pairing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things I wanted as a kid. If my mother was still here, she would tell you. And what she would say to me a lot is, you may not always get what you want, but you will always get what you need. Now, that actually set me up. Because there were times where I felt like, well, I got my needs met, but I want this. I want to create this, and I hadn't been able to. And I always wondered, is it because of this something or other in there? I don't want and need now. I don't think it's even a consideration anymore. because I have enough to get virtually whatever I want. I don't want a lot. I wanted this yurt, so look what I did. And I could honestly say that in the spirit of this talk we just heard, this was an example of that. That yeah, but I wanted to come back to the need business because I know you to some degree. I'm not going to spill the beans on everything I know about you, but I know that there's a concern about, can I get my basic needs met?
Not as much.
And I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks to our.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of conversations.
Yeah, now it's more of the, I'd love to be able to do fun things with my loved ones.
Mhm.
Go
Mhm.
supporting trips to, Hawaii or whatever,
Mhm.
stuff like that. It's like, well, probably can't, it doesn't feel available or accessible right now.
Mhm.
But then if I kind of look at it deeper, it's like, I think she doesn't feel right now if I actually sit on it. But I'm like, oh, but if I had more access to funds, maybe it would feel right. Maybe it would feel aligned. That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. So what's the question? Drop down. What's there under that? What's the question?
Is there something about me that's different than others who are able to do that? Maybe. I don't know.
Is that the question, or is the question, what's wrong with me that I can't do what others are doing?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feeling less than.
What was that?
Feeling less than.
That's one of the things in there.
Feeling.
Comparatives, for sure. Comparison is definitely a buzz killer.
Mm-hmm.
When I say buzz, I mean manifesting energy. There are people who try to keep up with the Joneses and then they manage to do so, but they're miserable in the effect of doing so. It comes back to like, whoa, what am I placing my power into? Am I putting where do I put the source of my sense of okayness? Is it in an accomplishment, an achievement, of being able to do X, being able to have X number of dollars? I'm not asking so that you resolve it right now. I'm saying these are the kind of questions that when we take a good look at it and we're honest with ourselves, we'd actually be shocked to notice how much of our sense of wholeness we place outside of ourselves. And any place where you can identify that for yourself and bring it back into, this flows from my divinity. This is the source of it. It's like going on an egg hunt, a treasure hunt. Because every time you can find a belief that's operating, that you've been actually exporting your prosperity to, putting it into the job, putting it into whatever, the right investments, putting it into something outside of yourself, and you can bring that back in, that's gold, literally. So I recommend that as a practice. There's actually, as things always happen here, is, I come up with this topic for the evening, and then I put that out, and then I need to come up with stuff for the evening. and usually I've got a really good flow of stuff, but let me see if it's still here. Yeah. It turns out when I was eating dinner, I happened to jump onto Reddit, and some perfect thing for tonight's conversation showed up over there. And I'm going to pull up, see if we can take advantage of a little here. One of the books I read in my 20s that had a big impact on me was a Seth book. Seth was an entity, or is an entity, that was channeled through a woman named Jane Roberts in the 60s and the 70s, one of the first big such things. And it was a lot of technical stuff about the nature of reality and a lot of interesting things. But one of the books, the one that had the greatest impact on me in my 20s, I would say, is a book called The Nature of Personal Reality. Mm-hmm. And in this book, he goes through belief systems and shows how belief systems, when it's implanted into our psyche, shows up in the physical plane. And I mean, it was a really eye-opening book. So in this, somebody on Reddit took a PDF of the entire book and uploaded it to ChatGPT. They started having interactions with it. And so there was a little section here he talked about money. So I thought, let me share this with you here tonight. And I'll put this segment into the notes from this week when I send out the replay link. So you could play with this if you want. Where is it? Okay, so this person asked Chat against the nature of personal reality. He goes, this year I would like to shift from the identity of, quote, I find it hard to generate a lot of money. He wants to shift it from that, which is obviously an internalized belief system, to I allow myself economic abundance and the highest level of well-being that life can offer me. Okay, let's just stick with that thing. So what he says here, or Chat comes back and says, okay, what we're not going to do is convince the mind of the new belief. We're not going to impose new beliefs. We're not going to fight habits. What we are going to do is withdraw defective identities and allow an internal reorganization of consciousness. So money and identity go from, I find it hard to generate a lot of money, to I allow myself economic abundance and the highest level of well-being that life can offer me. It says, important, this phrase is not used as a repeated affirmation. It's used as an internal stance, an internal position that you step into. What's happening right now is the old belief is not just an idea, it's an identity, an interpretive framework, an image that is sent to the inner self. Because it's the inner self that does all the manifesting work. And if I hold a belief at the egoic level that I can't manifest money, then the inner self says, okay, you can't manifest money. And one not manifesting money coming right up. That's kind of how it works. So it says here, the correct practice is once a day, no more, at any calm moment, observe the old phrase without arguing with it. I find it hard to generate a lot of money. Like when you notice it comes up, just notice it. And here's the important thing. Notice the body sensation that's associated with it. Tension, resignation, fatigue, contraction. And then say once, without forcing an emotion, I can allow a broader image. And then in this example, drop in the phrase, I allow myself economic abundance in the highest level of well-being that life can offer me. Don't try to believe it. Don't try to feel anything special about it. What it says is just doing that informs the inner self that the previous image is no longer mandatory. That's all. Your inner awareness, conscious, will reorganize your reality around that. It's interesting. Signs that the self-correction in this case of money is taking place. So don't look for them. Interesting. Gives you the list that says don't look for these. Simple practical ideas, less self-sabotage, more calm when thinking about money, less urgency or anxiety, and normal opportunities that you didn't see before. Nothing spectacular, but very real. That's all. I'll put that out in the notes.
Please.
Yeah. I would say, again, to summarize, because I know people who are worth 20, 30, 40 million dollars, and they still feel like they don't have enough. Why?
Because it's not what they're worth.
Because the thing that's driving that creation of money is coming from a belief that I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how much you create, it's not enough. And in fact, it gets worse than that. It's that when we manifest anything, what we're ultimately manifesting is the essential vibration of the belief that's at the center of it. And if what's at the center of it is I'm empty, I'm missing something, and it's going outside of itself to fill that, the more successful it is at creating the money in an attempt to fill the hole that can only be filled from the inside, the bigger the hole's going to get. Because you are utilizing your life force and exporting it to try to create something out there to fill an inner hole, and that is ontologically and structurally impossible. So none of this is suggesting don't go out and make 20 million bucks. It's suggesting get into a right alignment so you understand how you're creating this and do it from the right conscious level. And that's right, and you attract it. It becomes a magnetic pull. It's not an egoic push. The egoic response to this whole setup, which is appropriate, is you take action to do what you need to do in the world. You don't just sit there on the couch and say, 20 million bucks is coming to me. But who would you rather see in charge of $20 million? You or the president of Exxon, meaning you or the unconscious collective. I want you guys having it. Us.
But that's I don't know if it's an irony, but that's the rub, right? Like, the one who is going to be in charge of that money is the one who values being in charge of that much money and have that much power. And the rest of us who don't value that in the same way aren't going to be in charge of that because that's not who we are.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You've got a very good point here. What I mentioned when I wrote this little short thing in the invite that I sent out, and I said is there's nothing spiritual about poverty. There's nothing spiritual about greed. There is a balance point for each one of us that is the most natural, effortless flow of prosperity to move through us as us. Go there.
We're going to have to say that again.
There's a natural balance point within each one of us for an appropriate amount of prosperity to come and flow through. Constricted belief systems, lack of self-worth, guilt, right? Resentment. You hold on to that stuff in your field, in your energy field, you will block your natural flow. You will have less than what your natural flow is. If you push to create way more than is your natural level, and I can't tell you what your natural level is. All I know is when it's allowed to manifest in its most natural way, it covers your needs and then some. There's nothing spiritual about poverty. There's Nothing. I was really crystal clear about that. Religions, they fuck up that whole idea big time. There's nothing spiritual about poverty.
All those people agree with that?
Yeah, I think they would. Now, there's nothing spiritual about being overly attached to money as well. Why do you get overly attached to money? Because you use it as a sense of identity, right? Right away, again, you're putting your power into something external. They'll have something to say about that because it's not in your best interest on a spiritual level.
And they were in total trust that their needs would be met.
I mean, Neem Karoli Baba, his nickname was Crackpot Baba because he would walk around putting a clay pot on his head, that, and he had a dhoti, underpants. That's it. And he'd walk around and everybody would take care of him. And when that pot would break, he would throw it away and get another one. They knew, I mean, they're pushing it, they're here as examples. We don't have to do that. We grew up in the West. We didn't grow up in the East.
Have you heard about the group of monks that have been walking from Texas to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
And all they have is a backpack or whatever they have on them. And they have been fed along the way. They have been taken care of along the way. And they're not asking for it. Luckily, someone is posting them on social media so people know to come out, to walk with them, to feed them, to take care of them. But there's so much love surrounding them in their entire journey. And are they expecting anything? I don't believe so. Are they receiving? Yes. Are they giving? Love. Trust.
Yeah.
Believe.
Yeah.
We have some friends that are greatly involved with the Vipassana culture.
Yeah.
And there was one young man who just completely adopted the entire way of being. And it's like people were fighting over who got to feed him that night. And he said, please, let it go. I'll be fine. Interesting.
Well, I think all we have to do is dress all the homeless people up as monks and the problem's solved. Okay, how should we wrap this up tonight? Money is a divine instrument when used as such. Now let's just back up one step. Money is completely neutral. Like electricity. Electricity is completely neutral, right? You plug in this computer, you could do good things with it. You plug your fingers in, you end up with hair like mine.
Is that what?
That's what happened. He used to have straight hair. But money's neutral. It's what you project into it.
Money's neutral, and as you said at the beginning, it has energy.
Yes, so does electricity.
So do your clothes.
Sure, but that's not, it's not, I guess I'm having a problem with it being neutral, but I guess if you're saying
It's energy.
everything is
Energy
neutral.
energy is neutral. It comes through your system and then it gets used. It gets focused. Our system takes energy and coalesces it and creates with it and then projects it and works with it now.
So if you say energy is neutral, then I'm aligned with money being neutral.
Yes, because money is energy. Energy is neutral. Therefore, money is neutral.
So then it's what you choose to, how you choose to
Yes.
move within it.
It's how you choose to work with it that matters. It's neutral, but it's intelligent. The divine energy is intelligent. And so when you are working in alignment with your divinity, then the coherency between all parts of your psyche and the infinite source is working together.
See, that I can align with. I remember, I don't know if it goes back as far as college, but I read Susie Orman,
Yeah,
7 Steps to Financial Freedom.
yeah.
And what has stuck with me to this day, it was actually just in the preface. And she said, money is an energy. You will see, if you respect your money, money will flow to you. And if you disrespect money, money will move away from you.
Absolutely true.
And you reminded me, because she was talking about that very thing, and I do this to this day, 30, 40 years later. She said, when you have your money, have it all facing the same way.
I do that.
And show that you have that respect. And if you have it crumpled in your pocket, like the gentleman that you're talking about, it is disrespecting.
Yeah.
And I have found over the years that there is some major truth to that.
Yeah.
You are respecting your money, even as simple as, I'm going to use an old term, balancing your checkbook. Really being in alignment with what's there. Oh, I don't. Thank goodness for electronic banking, so I never have to do that anymore. Because I failed miserably at that. But I find that the more I'm aware of the money I have, where it's going and what it's doing and how I want to bring it to me, the more that it naturally flows to me. And when I get distracted and I'm disrespecting it, the more it seems to go away.
Yeah, that is it. And honestly, I see myself as a steward for the money. I ask, like inwardly, it's like, what would you have me do with this? Right? Where would you want us to donate? What would you want me to do with this? How would you? I ask.
So putting all your bills in the same direction in your wallet, that's not just OCD?
It could be, or it could be an intentional act of alignment.
It's quite intentional.
Yeah, I do that just because.
Yeah.
I thought it was OCD stuff because, like, if something's not quite centered, I feel like this want to center it, and it's not OCD. What it is I'm sensitive to alignment, and my environment, like in my inner world. There are things I do to put things in alignment, and my outer world, I want it to reflect that. How's that for a rationalization to get away from OCD?
I fold my money all
It's beautiful.
in the right way.
What was that? It's respect.
Oh, I make sure my money is like, not crumpled up, but
Yeah. Bless the money as it goes through your hands. I do that all the time. Bless everything. We are blessing vehicles. The more you do, the more it just takes care of itself. Just takes care of itself. It's like anything else. We are in relationship to everything, especially money. So look at your relationship to it. Clean it up.
I want to throw one more concept. Joy.
Go ahead, speak.
When I am going to sign up for something that I'm paying for, I get into a place of the joy of being able to support the person who's going to benefit on the other end. Joy. So it's not just the joy of receiving, it's the joy of the giving. The joy of paying a bill.
Yeah.
The joy of supporting others.
Except for Comcast. I got to think about paying.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that because you pay. But it feels so good.
Yeah. Right. And it's the feeling space that is a signal. That's the signal. You can rely on that signal. Okay. Let's just spend a few minutes in quiet taking this in. We've A lot of talking, a lot of ideas flowing, but the thing that's really flowing is the energy behind it all. The vibrational truth. Just soak it in. Let it reconfigure your entire inner world, the vibrational truth. And just sit in the gratitude of this. And as sure as you are breathing, feel that life force, the divine flow of current moving in, through you, moving out. No separation between that and financial flow.